police brutality have been shown to traumatize entire Black communities, even though it's only one person who's directly experiencing the trauma. In 2015, The Atlantic coined the phrase contagious PTSD to describe this phenomenon. Furthermore, Dr. Joyce DeGroy published a book in 2005 entitled Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, which refers to the actual DNA changes that take place within Black people who are descendants of slaves. So she's basically saying that the trauma and oppression that slaves experience actually alters the DNA and leads to changes that are passed down. So in addition, she states that the behaviors that we often see in the Black community and dismissed as culture are actually coping mechanisms for surviving in a toxic environment.
So another disorder that's associated with traumatic events is adjustment disorder. Now, adjustment disorder is very common within people that experience life stresses. Say for instance, finals is coming up. You guys are experiencing life stresses and certain type of anxiety from your finals, doing these tests, doing these projects, presentations, and so forth. So adjustment disorder is just when you experience anxiety or depressive reactions to life stresses. And the reason why it's a disorder is because it kind of inhibits you from your daily functions. So you start to shut down and things of that nature. The treatment for this is the same as post-traumatic disorder, which is an intervention, therapy, learning new ways to use healthy coping mechanisms, and sometimes medications. Another disorder is attachment disorder, and it's usually very common in children that are 5 and below, usually common in foster children because the causes are from neglect and abusive relationships among caregivers or parents and friends and such. The treatments for this is the same. It is an intervention, therapy, and using healthy coping mechanisms to get through your traumatic events. There are 2 types of attachment disorders, and it's reactive attachment disorder and disinhibited social engagement disorder. Reactive attachment disorder is basically when a child is exhibiting abnormal withdrawal and inhibited behavior from supportive caregivers. So if your parents wanted to support you in any type of way, try to help you, they kind of pull back from that help and don't really have trust among the caregivers. And disinhibited social engagement disorder is basically when a child is exhibiting inappropriate behavior with other adults or individuals without the caregiver's permission.
So now that we've learned about some of the disorders that can result from trauma, it is important to know what other factors can manifest following a traumatic experience. So trauma has shown to be a risk factor for a variety of different patterns. For example, childhood trauma is a risk factor for a variety of mental health issues such as psychosis. In addition, people who experience childhood traumas are more likely to be victims of, or are more likely to engage in addiction and substance abuse. Also, people in prison are more likely to have experienced traumatic experiences as children than the general population. And finally, trauma also correlates with the higher high school dropout rate. So because we know how damaging trauma can be for society, it's important for us to learn the ways that we can remedy these harmful behaviors. So cognitive behavioral therapy basically provides a patient with the methods that they need to become more aware of their thoughts and triggers and helps them to be able to respond to the impacts of their trauma in a healthier way. Exposure therapy is basically aimed at lessening the psychological reaction a person has to their triggers. And finally, talk or psychodynamic therapy allows a person to find relief from their pain through talking about their trauma.
exercise. We're gonna tell you symptoms and certain type of, we're gonna give you a scenario, basically, and you're gonna tell us what disorder it is. So you're gonna put up your card number. You have a few pieces of paper that have A through D on there, and you're going to put up what you think the answer is. So the first disorder is an Iraq War veteran. He experiences nightmares and flashbacks, and he has been hostile, very anxious, and feels that he cannot trust others around him. So is it A, adjustment disorder, B,
PTSD.
yes, PTSD, or C, reactive disorder, or disinhibited disorder? Give you a second. When you're ready, just put up your cards. Okay, so the correct answer was PTSD, and group 2 and 4 got it correct.
And so our next disorder is basically fitting the profile of a person who has just started a new school. And since they started the school, they have been crying often. They've also been experiencing some physical symptoms such as headaches and stomach aches. And so it actually started to cross the line that actually prevents them from going about their normal daily life. So at this point, they've actually stopped going to school. And so I will give you a few seconds to decide which disorder you believe this person has.
A for adjustment disorder, B for attachment disorder, C for reactive disorder, and A for adjustment disorder, B for post-traumatic stress disorder, C for reactive disorder, and D for disinhibited social engagement disorder. Just give you guys a second.
Alright, so this person is suffering from adjustment disorder.
The third disorder is a child that's under 5 years old, and this child makes friends with older adults and participates in inappropriate behavior with them. So, A, adjustment disorder, B, reactive disorder, C, disinhibited disorder, and D, post-traumatic stress disorder. Give me a second. Ooh, how fast. Well, the answer was disinhibited social engagement disorder.
So thank you very much. We hope that you enjoyed our presentation and that you learned a little bit more about how you can protect yourself from trauma in the future.